You're listening to Talk Star Wars, a proud member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com and take your first steps into a larger world. Talk Star Wars is a production of Emotionally 14. For fantastic podcasts, video series, blog posts, and much more, visit us on the web at emotionally14.com and enjoy content for the permanently teenaged. Hello there, and welcome to episode 199 of the Talk Star Wars podcast from emotionally14.com as we limp to 200. I'm your host, as always, Rob Wade, and I'm joined by the Chewie to my Han. It's Brad Harmer-Barnes.
Hey, I'm a tag to your Bink. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, yeah. And my intro needs work because I just found myself as I was walking through that particular forest, I was tripping all over little branches and roots and stuff.
It's hard doing it. It's because you're kind of aware that you start saying the same thing each episode, which helps. It helps to have a structure.
Yes. But
then you're kind of aware you sound a bit like a sampler after about 10 episodes.
Yeah, exactly. And you end up throwing in, whoa, and hello there, and Talk Star Wars.
Why don't I just pre-record this bit?
There is entirely that possibility available to us. I think 199 is probably the episode not to realise it. It probably would have been useful to do that way earlier. But it took us a while to find a groove when it comes to saying hello.
I was about to say, as far as the audience knows, this bit is pre-recorded. But my brain went, Brad, the whole episode is pre-recorded.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely doing it live. I mean, I'm sure it's logistically. Yeah, I'm sure it's logistically doable.
It's called Twitch.
Yeah, well, this is it. I'm sure it's logistically doable.
And if I understood how to use Twitch, that might be something we did.
It's certainly a thing I've set up once.
Okay.
And then since then, never has it been touched again.
Yeah.
I think I got some free premium recently because I have Xbox, but
Is it called Twitch because people stream Twitch shooters on it, or are they called Twitch shooters because people stream them on Twitch?
Twitch shooters predates the name Twitch.
Okay, cool.
Whether that's a connection, I don't know. But in terms of which one came first, from recollection, it's Twitch shooters came before Twitch, the service.
Cool. Yeah, it was just a passing thought.
All right. Well, I'm glad you caught it.
Drifting through my vacuous brain.
It wouldn't be able to drift if it was a real vacuum.
That's true.
Yeah. Mind blown.
One of those sort of
explains the draft.
Not if it's a vacuum, it won't.
No, well, also, man.
Exactly. Huh.
Oh, I don't like these consequences.
Yeah. Hoisted by your own leopard.
Absolutely.
I don't do sayings.
Hoisted by Picard. I don't know. I haven't watched it yet. I don't even. No.
Nope.
Just because I don't know enough TNG to probably appreciate it fully, and also I've got other stuff I'm catching up on first.
Yeah, I just watched a lot of Lego Batman cartoons,
nice.
And today I watched the Adam West Batman movie twice.
Huh? What, the Batman 66?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's my daughter's decided she loves it.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, she's only human.
She calls it Batman Shark.
Batman Shark.
The title of that film, which I think is lovely.
Yeah, no, that's a good. It's a good
description of every 5 minutes.
It's a good succinct. It's a good succinct intro. I don't see any problem with that whatsoever. So we had another review since last time we recorded.
Oh, is it a good review?
It is a good review. It's a lovely review.
Right then. Yeah.
So it's 5 stars and it's titled "The Dom to My Han."
No, don't know what that's about.
No, me neither. But anyway. While Star Wars Twitter descends into the usual shout-outs and hysteria, the quiet oasis is Talk Star Wars.
Because they don't do anything.
Rob and Brad don't look back in anger. And like 5, they're moving on up. Always great discussion and insights. They definitely got a ticket to ride the positivity train, while Twitter is going crazy, crazy nights. With Talk Star Wars, we don't stop believing. Thank you, Rob and Brad. Neil Lowry. Isn't that nice? He's communicated his love of Talk Star Wars using his love of 80s and 90s pop classics.
5, they're moving on up.
Yeah, 5. Do you remember 5? The band 5.
The boy band 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they had a song called Get On Up or Move On Up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm aware of boy bands and I know some of the songs, but there's precious few I can link up. Obviously, Backstreet's Back is Take That.
Sure.
But most of them are an abject mess. I can't tell my Westlife from my NSYNC from my...
No.
Five, apparently.
It's a shame they didn't all do a song, because like Five did one. I don't remember the actual name of Everybody Get Up, where it's like 5 bad boys with the power to rock you. Yeah. That was their intro. So there it's like, okay, that's 5.
That's but
there's a shame there's not like a song called Welcome to the Boy Zone.
Yeah.
Admittedly that
Boy Zone's another one. Not a clue.
Yeah.
Could not pick them out. I mean, you put Blue in there. I don't think I ever knew who Blue were. For a long time, I assumed it was a cartoon dog from the preschool children's show.
Wasn't it? Was it not?
No. One was a cartoon dog and one was a boy band, but I understand the confusion.
Yeah.
Because they're both called Blue, you see.
Yeah, exactly. This is it. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't take much to... One
was very keen on communicating through clues, and the other one was, I don't know, they were going to make you get down now or something, I don't know.
Yeah, doesn't it? Again, we're looping. But, Neil, thank you very much for writing that in. It's very kind of you, and it's always nice to see people make song references. I always, you love to see it.
Yeah.
So, and obviously, as we've mentioned before in previous episodes, the advantage of writing a 4 or 5 star review to talk Star Wars is that we will read what's written there verbatim, as long as it's I mean, I can read it. Whether it makes it through bleeping is to be determined afterwards. But I can certainly read it.
Me as particularly offensive.
No.
But most of the times I get bleeped is because I get a message a couple of days later going, I've looked into it, apparently it's rude.
Or I go, I'm not sure, but it sounds funnier when I bleep it, so I just go ahead and do it. Yeah. I'd like to think I have a good ear for that stuff.
Yeah.
So our first message into the email bag this week comes from Vesuvi.
Woo!
And Vesuvi writes, thanks, Rob. Thanks, Brad.
You're welcome, Vesuvius.
Thanks, C.O. Bibble's hipster beard.
Oh, she was an opera singer, wasn't she?
Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah.
Since you wondered about how you should watch The Mandalorian, of course, whichever way you decide on should be fine. But I'd recommend consuming it as an epic miniseries, or maybe in 2 movie-sized chunks if you get antsy. The official runtime is 5 hours and 15 minutes, but if you jump beyond the last time summaries and end credits, it's closer to 4 hours total. Eat your heart out, Gone with the Wind and Lawrence of Arabia.
Do I have to?
I don't know. It just strikes me she went into Billy Joel mode there. And if you don't recall from my non-spoilery teasers, the first 3 and last 2 chapters are the main serialized tale. The middle chapters, 4, 5, and 6, are the episodic detours. I can barely wait to hear what you think of it.
I'm going to jump on an epic tangent here.
Right. But
it's an epic tangent that I believe you, and therefore by proxy, our listeners will enjoy as well.
Okay.
In my small country town, there is Wetherspoons has opened up recently. For those people aren't in England, it's a family-friendly chain of pubs.
I'm trying to think what the equivalent in America would be.
I don't know.
No. In Applebee's maybe, or something like that?
Imagine like a cross between a Denny's and a pub, and you're kind of
that's a pretty good description. Yeah.
One thing Wetherspoons likes to do is that they like to have pictures on the wall of famous people connected with the town that places in. Like for a Star Wars connection, for Wetherspoons in Whitstable is named for Peter Cushing. It's an old converted cinema, and there's huge pictures of Peter Cushing everywhere. There's Peter Cushing movie posters and stuff. Great. The one in Rochester has a giant piece about Kelly Brook, not a joke. And so I was really surprised to go into my small country pub in rural Kent and find a photo of Lawrence of Arabia.
Okay.
In the Wetherspoons.
Right.
And above the gentleman's toilets, there's a big picture of T.E. Lawrence as well. And this, I'm a bit of a history guy, professionally and hobbyist. And it had a little box out of text in the bottom right-hand corner. And I was genuinely interested in what T.E. Lawrence's connection to my hometown was.
Yes.
So I will read out for you the connection between T.E. Lawrence and my small village it's not my small village, I don't own it, but you know what I mean, in Kent, which is Alice Wincott, who bought the Upchurch pottery, which is not the town I'm in, it's another town, a town over, in 1936, was a great admirer of T.E. Lawrence, Lawrence of Arabia. When Lawrence died in a motorcycle accident in 1935, she began work on a sculpted head of her hero. Let's move on to the second paragraph, shall we?
All right. We're off to a good start here.
Seatbelts on.
Yeah.
Ted Baker, so we're on to a different person now, who ran the pottery, made a mould of the head. So it's not related to Lawrence anymore. It's someone else made a sculpture of his head, which someone else has made a mould of.
Right.
Which stood a metre high and was cast in 1936. Alice owned the pottery for 15 years. She sold it after her divorce from her husband, the renowned psychologist Donald Winnicott. Another person now.
Yeah, so there's three in this drama.
Who later recalled that Alice used to communicate with the spirit of Lawrence using her pet parrot as a medium. And I don't believe any of you expected that sentence to end that way.
No. No, you got me there. That's not what I was aiming for. It's not. No. What?
The desperation to find anyone famous associated with my town.
So let me run this back in my head. So you've got... So the actual connection to Lawrence of Arabia is a woman made a bust of him and then talked to it as if to talk to his ghost.
Yes.
Using a parrot as an intermediary.
And that's the best connection they could find.
Yeah.
To any famous person.
Wow.
Oh.
There must... The strange thing is, I feel like if they tried...
just took Star Wars up.
Yeah.
That's more famous.
I think it is, you know.
We're in Uganda.
Yeah, this is
Lawrence
it.
was Uganda to an extent. But
sure, but...
For different reasons.
Yeah, in different contexts. But, wow. That's...
Yeah, right?
It's a bit... I'm almost like... I almost feel bad. I must feel a little bit sorry for them. Can you imagine being that poor...
That researcher
or that person who, let's be fair, is probably not on minimum wage, but they're not going to be... They're not going to be raking it in. No. They're not going to be seven figures and a yacht, are they?
Oh, no, absolutely.
So they finally turn their report in. Everybody's desperate to see. Monday morning, the meeting's called. Brace yourself.
Yeah. Right, Justin, what have you found out?
Did you know?
Well, we know that everyone loves parrots.
And contact with the dead.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed that as much as I did.
Yeah. It's a little baffling, I won't lie.
Yeah.
But what else is there to say about that?
Exactly. Yeah. I just hope people get as much of it. Anyway, yeah, that's what Mandalorian's like.
Yeah, so yeah, the first three, and so 1, 2, 3, 7, and 8 are the serials, and then the middle chapters are episodic detours.
Ah, cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, we haven't yet talked about, and I'm not going to suggest we do it right now on the air, because obviously we might like to discuss it, but we haven't talked about how we're going to handle the Mandalorian. But I have some thoughts that perhaps we could talk about off the air about how we might do that. But I mean, I feel like we should most certainly do something, because we've been saying for months it would be nice if we got a bite of peach. Something. And now they're offering it to us. Yeah. A week before it was originally, you know. Yeah. And we're meant to be like, blessed saints among us. Yeah. Truly.
Everything's coming up, Millhouse.
Exactly. No, I mean, it's cool. I mean, it's nice. It is nice that we're getting it slightly earlier than we originally had. So, like, this, you know, but at the same time, it is still quite late. Yeah.
Are we getting a week earlier, or are we getting it 6 months later?
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of, it's all a question of point of view.
It's like, £150 playing poker online. Yeah, but you lost 500 6 months ago.
Yeah. So, or during the same evening. It's like a single hand, you win £600. Yeah. It's like, but at the same time, your net is down sort of 4,500. It's not, there are gradations of happiness, aren't there? Like in terms of good results. So Vesuvius continues. Since you brought up the Rose thing again while reading Dave's message, it was clearly explained that if Finn had killed himself crashing into the miniaturized Death Star tech cannon on Crate, it would have had zero effect, because the cannon was so big, powerful, shielded, and the ski speeder was so small, antiquated, unshielded. That's why Rose prevented Finn from making a useless sacrifice, not just because she had a crush on him. It's because she, as a technician with a passion for theoretical engineering, knew his sacrifice would have been in vain.
I'm done with Death Star tech now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Everything's had Death Star tech.
Yeah, they've miniaturized it to the point where I'm amazed it's not on a keychain.
Yeah, exactly. I'm done with Death Star tech now.
Yeah, as a thing.
Yeah, do something. I know we had super weapon overdose in the old expanding universe, but at least some of them were different.
Yeah, they had some.
Like the Sun Crusher was great.
The Sun Crusher was great. Even the Darksaber was cool.
Darksaber wasn't, but they didn't overplay the Death Star tech in the same way.
No,
in the old EU.
Yeah.
It's the way they've done it now is almost like a 6-year-old kid playing with toys. It's not like, the Hutt cartels managed to get a Death Star cannon and they're using it to become a galactic threat.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like the Death Star, but all the Star Destroyers have got one.
Yeah, and it is literally that at this point.
Yeah.
That's how they've done it. You know, and I agree. It's played out now. It was played out.
Yeah.
You know, at the end, let's be fair, it was played at the end of at the end of Force Awakens, if not before. Yeah. It was already like, it's a big Death Star.
I'd say it was played out by the end of Jedi.
I mean, much like
Palpatine.
Well, as we learned, we were just way off base with that one.
You were deceived.
Yeah. So he continues, the examples you two cited, both Holdo's and Luke's sacrifices, actually made differences. So your rationale is non-analogous. Sorry, I'm saying that 3 times fast. If Finn's crash would have taken out or even temporarily damaged the cannon, then yes, it would have been a good move and noble end. But then we're getting into plot choices, which is a different argument from lumping in non-effective sacrifices with effective sacrifices.
That's totally fair, and I agree completely.
I get how you might have written the scene differently. I might have too. Okay, I definitely would have.
Yeah.
But all sacrifices, despite their worthy intentions, are not comparable. So please, retool your justifications on this matter to include commensurate contributory corroboration. There was a tongue poking out emoji, which is why I think tongue is planted firmly in cheek on this one. So,
I think she's made a very good point, and I agree.
Okay, cool. On the subject of favourite Star Wars games, granted this is informal competition, mine would be blithely razzing both of you. Blithely razzing both of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Infallibly gladdened by our galactic blather, Vesuvi, Knight of the Commonwealth. One thing I love about Vesuvi is her eloquence.
Yes, she's amazing.
She is thoroughly verbose, and it shows, and it's wonderful to get so many big words. Most of which I understand, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, I do words good, but
me too.
She's amazing. Yeah.
Me also think words good, with regards me. But Vesuvi, much good more. So Vesuvi, thank you for that. I know I need to go back and rewatch. I need to go back and finish Last Jedi, because I did start doing a rewatch, and for whatever reason I got sidetracked. But I feel like I need to go back and watch it, because I do sometimes find myself feeling, and this is not this is a general comment, not with Vesuvi's kind of feedback in mind. I do sometimes find myself thinking, when this is more something I notice on Star Wars Twitter, when people are kind of running defense for this film, because they do, and that's fair enough. If you enjoy it, why not? But I do sometimes find myself looking at stuff, say less what Vesuvi's example is and more kind of general stuff, and thinking, is that in the film, or have you kind of, as somebody who's arguing the toss, kind of retconned that off the back of it? Do you know what I mean?
Sorry,
so
not really.
So I'll use this as an example. I'll try and sort of frame it in a way. So imagine that in this example, in this film, none of this was in the film, and Vesuvi had kind of decided this after the... Yeah, exactly, extrapolating. So I noticed this on Star Wars Twitter more than anywhere else. You sort of see somebody say, oh, well, this, and this, and you think, I don't think that was in the film. I think you've patched that together behind, in your brain to make it fit, and that's fine, right? Yeah. But it's... I'd be interested to go back with that kind of stuff in mind and actually watch these films, these sequel trilogy films, because I don't feel like I have this much problem with the OT. There are silly things in them, of course. They're old films. Old films can be silly. I don't mean as in they have permission, although they do. But just in terms of how they're presented. Often silly things happen. But I do feel like with the sequel trilogy, I do sometimes find myself reading something that somebody's written on Star Wars Twitter and going, I'm not convinced that's in the film. I think that's a you construction rather than a Rian Johnson or a J.J. Abrams construction. So I think I need to go back and do all the films at least once with that in my head.
I think the only Star Wars related tweet I've seen recently that I've wholeheartedly agreed with, and it was kind of a summary across all the movies, your favourites and your not so favourites, was Star Wars is like cake. Even if it's not your favourite cake, it's still cake.
Yeah, I mean that seems fair.
Yeah,
and as long as you still like the taste of cake, or indeed that cake, and you can also, there's lots of different kinds of cake, and you don't have to like all the cake.
Well, is there any cake you actively dislike? I mean, chocolate cake is probably my least favourite. Yeah,
likewise. Actually, it's far too chocolate flavoured stuff generally.
Yeah, I mean,
it's too rich.
Even if that's Attack of the Clones or Last Jedi, I'm still like, if someone handed it to me, I'd be like,
thanks very much. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, Clone Wars animated cake.
They can't all be Eccles cake.
No,
which is a fun tip. It's basically an all year round mince pie.
There you go. So that's good. Good advice for us all. One of Brad's patented life hacks there.
What's wrong with my brain?
I don't know. I spent years trying to figure it out, and I just realised it's funnier to just go along for the ride.
Built for brain.
Yeah, but the cake thing is a good example because you also don't have to. I think where the analogy falls apart is nothing to do with the analogy because I think it's solid. I think it's with the fact that some people don't like other people not to like their cake.
That's it, isn't it?
It's just. I don't understand why it's so important.
A few months ago, I said on the show, like, if you're feeling yourself wound up because you've said I like this movie, and someone's good, oh, you like that movie? What's wrong with you? It's like it's so subjective. It's like someone mocking your taste in drinks. It's something so completely.
What's wrong with Dr. Like, what's wrong with Dr. Pepper Zero?
How offended would you be if someone said, you like Tizer? It's be like, well, yeah, I do. What?
I'd be weirded out because I don't think I've ever said that on the air.
I mean. It's I don't know. For non-English people,
it's Big Red.
It's
Big Red.
I suppose it is. Yeah,
it's literally Big Red.
Yeah,
I've had it. I've had it before. Yeah, they do because Big Red's the gum, the cinnamon one.
And I'm staring down the camera at me. Just go, Brad. It's Big Red. Big Red. Like he's going to invade me with a column of T-34s.
Because I remember this. Big Red's gum, the cinnamon flavoured stuff, and I really like Big Red. And I remember I was in the shop that did American drinks, and they had a can of Big Red, and I thought, well, it can't be just a cinnamon drink. That sounds awful. So I bought a can.
So very dry.
It can't be
just a plume of red powder.
I can't picture what a drink would be like if it just tasted of cinnamon and nothing else. I can't think of anything worse. It would be awful.
I think it's deep heat, isn't it?
I think it would be, yeah. It's just melt some down. So I bought it and I drank some and I was thinking, this is quite nice. It's not cinnamon, which is, as I've established, a tremendous relief. Yeah. But it took me a little while to place the taste and I realised that it's literally just Tizer. What they've done is they've gone, well, nobody's going to know what Tizer is in America. Let's just whack another name on it they do recognise and away we go. So Big Red is the one they chose, it seems.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Very strange. But, for those who want to know what Tizer tastes like, drink a can of Big Red. Problem solved. Yeah, it's Big Red. It's Big Red.
I've done research.
Yeah. If by research you mean I had a can, it hardly qualifies as scientific rigour, but, But
yes.
Yeah, if you... This is the thing, I can't get my head around. This is why you don't see me engaging with Star Wars Twitter beyond the whole, here's a new episode, have a listen, see what you think.
Yep.
That's my limit of kind of getting involved with Star Wars fandom is basically putting our opinions out there and letting people decide what they want they like and don't like, and they can agree or disagree. Or they can, they can take us to task, as Vesuvi has done, as Derek has done in the past, and others have written in kind of, making it clear that our opinions are not shared by everyone, and that's fine.
That's fine. It's talk Star Wars, not dictate Star Wars.
Well, quite so, yeah. Now, if it's talk Big Red, it would be more authoritative because
exactly.
I've gone to all this trouble to do the research, and I will not be I will not be marginalised on this. But the thing that always puts me off interacting with Star Wars fandom on Twitter, and this is not one side of the aisle either, this is both sides of the aisle are guilty of this, is this notion that you can't be a fan because you have a particular opinion that the person writing it doesn't share. And I just feel like going, get in the sea. Just this whole... It's, in many ways, it's like, I do find myself thinking, if it wasn't for the fact that I have things to plug... I don't know how likely I would be to... I certainly wouldn't sign up for social media now. Would I have it at all? I don't know. I feel like maybe I probably would, but it would be an absolute skeleton of a profile, like my Facebook. I don't really do much Facebook.
You're not especially prolific poster on... You post some gaming-related shots on Insta.
Yeah.
And you tend to use messengers more than you post...
Yeah, totally.
To a feed. Yeah.
I'm quite happy to I'm very. I'd like to feel very kind of communicative on social behind the scenes, but I tend not to get involved in so many discussions just because I don't think I particularly like the mechanisms by which social media communicates. So the example I can give, which kind of I think highlights it pretty well, is imagine you and I having a conversation about a film. Like we are right now, right?
Yeah, I'll put conversations.
Yeah, but conversations we've had many a time about various types of film.
Yeah.
Right? And, over the course of the conversation, one of us will say something about a film that the other one doesn't agree with. What doesn't happen is Dave doesn't burst through the door and start attacking one of us for their opinion on a film.
And then it's midway hard through, to imagine an angry Dave.
It is hard. It is true. Yeah. And then by the same token, while you're then about to try and reply to Dave, Carl doesn't come bursting through a different door, yelling at you about your original point about the film in the first place. When you're trying to articulate, imagine this, just picture this playing out in your mind, right? We're having a conversation about movies, and I'll use myself as an example. I'll say something that you don't agree with about a film, right? You're in the process of thinking about what you want to reply with, and Dave comes bursting in the door and says, "Rob, you're a complete idiot. How can you even think that about that film?" And I'm suddenly going like, "Hang on, whoa!" And then I'm trying to craft the reply to Dave. Carl comes in through a different door and kicks me in the face and says, "What are you playing at? How can you even believe that?" Or Blake comes in, he's picked up on what you said, and he doesn't agree with that. And it's just, that's social media. That's how those conversations happen. And it's baffling to me. You can't visualize that in a real world setting. Like, it doesn't work. Like, just this idea that people can just interject. Excuse me, actually, it's very strange to me.
More concerned that the best example you could come up with, in many ways, the first thing your brain went to was that the rest of humanity thought and want to mutiny against you. I've employed very few coups.
Still more than I'm comfortable with.
Why are we talking about coups? There's no coup. You're so silly. You're always bringing up coups.
I know, it's weird. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I was the first to mention that word, but
there's no coup.
No, that's good. Well, that's nice to hear. So, but imagine that doesn't play out in a real world setting. Like Twitter does not work. Reddit does not work in a real world setting.
I don't think Kyle could reach to kick you in the face anyway.
Also true.
Yeah.
He's not the tallest.
And you are.
I mean, there's been a competition. Award certificates were given out and everything. But it
would be like a fight between an Ewok and an ATST.
Yeah, I mean, lest we forget. Ask about Chachu Cortez. So, circling back to my original thing. Yes. So, Vesuvi, thank you very much for writing in.
Yep.
That is a very fair point you have made. And the favourite Star Wars game, we both enjoy that game for on behalf of each other as well. We, a gentle ribbing is always appreciated, and clearly tongue was planted firmly in cheek and no hard feelings, and everything's all good. So
that sentence was innocent, but just sounded dirty.
How do you mean?
You had your tongue firmly planted somewhere and no hard feelings.
Oh my!
That's better.
So our next message comes from D.
Pure filth, Wade.
I know. I can't be helped. I can't be stopped.
Okay, go on in. Give me the D.
You've been waiting for the D ever since you read these notes. You're just like, give me the D.
Yeah.
Wait. Hello there. Fantastic show, Rob and Brad. I've been a regular listener for the past 2 years, and in that time, your show has been a great way to keep up with the Star Wars universe. I love listening to your banter, your dissection of the films, and your takes on fandom. It is a shame that Disney Plus is not available to you yet, because I'm eager to hear your thoughts on The Mandalorian. It was a very nice treat to hear Mark Gods's voice again on the Rise of Skywalker reaction episode. Please bring him back more often.
None taken.
So I had a nice chat with Mark the other day. I will say, I won't go into detail about all the conversations we had, but I will say that he's pretty content to be, a part-time appearance. So, we'll if we can, we'll try and find a way to bring him in. But he's enjoying retirement, and having spoken to him about a fair few things, I can understand why.
Yep.
That said, and out of the way, I've not written to the show for about a year, because the last time I wrote to the show, you both openly ridiculed one of my ideas. No hard feelings, but I do wish to get into this at length. Oh my. When last I wrote, I was responding to a discussion of how... Brace yourself. You're going to know... So this is the fun thing. You're going to know immediately what D wrote in about.
Okay, cool.
When last I wrote, I was responding to a discussion of how an Obi-Wan film could not be made because he is one of the most famous Jedi in the galaxy. And surely if he were running around on an adventure, off-world or otherwise, he would immediately be recognized and reported to the Empire. One of my solutions to this problem was that he could fake his death. Not every 5 or 10 minutes, exploding himself with Acme Dynamite, like some Looney Tunes character.
I love that idea so much.
Only to be recognized again and have to fake his death again and again and again until the end credits.
Yikes! Out of way!
No, that was not what I meant at all. But this was how you inferred it. Or, and I hope this is the case, how you decided to run with it in the most absurd way possible. So much so that it became a running joke and was brought up a number of times over the course of several podcasts.
And now it will be again.
Yeah. So before we carry on, D, that is the second one, the one that you're hoping is the case, is exactly the case.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man,
my idea was simply that he could fake his death once.
What does that if he gets spotted again?
Once.
He's capitalised it and used 3 exclamation marks.
Once. Maybe near the end of the film for dramatic effect, not played for laughs to get them rolling down the theatre aisles. I was not trying to lay down a plot for a Spaceball sequel. That's a shame, because I would have watched it.
Yeah, totally.
So, to expand on this, let us say that in the course of this hypothetical film, Boba Fett were to recognise Obi-Wan, they could get into a tussle, oh my, then both get captured by some passing Tusken Raiders who sell them off as slaves. They go through hardships, work together, and manage to escape by the end of the film. But then Boba Fett is still Boba Fett, and still wants the bounty on Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan, being aware of this, devises some means of faking his death so that Boba Fett goes on with his life, thinking that Obi-Wan is now deceased. I almost resent that I have to get into that much detail to wash my hands of this whole thing. But as it happens, I love discussing Star Wars, and I'm not done yet.
Cool.
The more I've thought about this, the more I've realised there's actually a lot of precedent in the Star Wars saga of not only Obi-Wan repeatedly faking his death, but a few other characters as well. Some of these examples may be tenuous at best, but please humour me. I had some fun putting this all together.
Okay, cool.
In the first few minutes of episode 1, mere moments after the film introduces us to the young Obi-Wan Kenobi and to his master Qui-Gon Jinn, the Trade Federation attempt to kill them both by locking them in a room and filling it with poisonous gas.
Which is a waste of a dining room.
It is a horrible layer. Like, what contractor did that work as well? Not for nothing. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon hold their breath and keep quiet, essentially faking their deaths until the battle droids open the doors to inspect their corpses. Had these Jedi both flailed about making a loud racket and demanding to be set free, well, then I suppose the droids would have simply kept the door sealed a bit longer.
Do you know what I love about that scene?
Go on.
As he said, they take a deep breath and hold their breath to fight in the poisonous gas.
Yeah.
10 minutes later, they pull a little diving apparatus out of their cloak and can swim with it.
That's a fair point. Why they couldn't just...
Oh, we had those, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh.
It would have been great if they just dropped down behind the cruiser they're going to hitch a ride on. He goes, You were right, Master. What's that? The negotiations were... we had the breathing thing. Oh, you're right. Well, don't I feel like a prize pillock? However, the droids did open the doors to the room because Obi-Wan Kenobi and his master are no fools. They're both cunning warriors, and these Jedi have faked their deaths.
Oh, he's got us.
Yep. There's more.
Oh.
At the conclusion of episode 1, despite Darth Maul having the high ground, yeah, good point there, that's probably how he learned it, Obi-Wan Kenobi uses the Force to flip over Maul's head and slice the Sith Lord in twain. Though by all rights this character who fell with his body split in half down a melting pit should have died and stayed dead, Darth Maul persisted and lived amid refuse, feeding on vermin for over a decade. Maul never once sent Kenobi a text during that time, stating, "It's just a flesh wound, come back here, I'll bite your legs off," or even a simple, "Still alive, Jedi scum, lols," assuming they exchanged numbers off screen. There is a big assumption there. Thus, for all intents and purposes, by not announcing that he was still among the living, this Sith Lord has faked his death. By the end, I'm going to have a perfect one of those world's scariest police chases voices going.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you got us fair. That's true.
In the first few minutes of episode 2, moments after sending us a Padme Amidala's J-type diplomatic barge, you know where this is going. Yeah. Diplomatic barge lands on Coruscant. The ship explodes, and its passengers, including Amidala, all appear to be dead. Except, wait a minute, what's this? It seems it was actually Corday, Padme's handmaiden, who was killed after all. So basically...
Worst job.
Seriously.
It's one of the worst jobs in Star Wars.
It's probably the worst just because how you have to be so specifically qualified in order to get the job.
Yeah, you got to look like Keira Knightley.
You got to look a bit like Natalie Portman enough to fool somebody from a distance.
Yeah.
And
so
it's
it's Keira Knightley and Millie Bobby Brown. That's it.
Pretty much.
I don't know if Millie Bobby Brown was even born at the time Attack of the Clones came out.
Isn't that a thing?
Yeah. I don't know. She might have been. Maybe. I haven't carbon dated her.
No, this is true. So basically, by employing a decoy for a worst-case scenario such as this, Senator Amidala has, intentionally or not, faked her death. In episode 2...
All right, yeah, you got us fair.
Yeah. In episode 2, Obi-Wan Kenobi is being outmaneuvered by Jango and Boba Fett in a starship dogfight through the asteroid ring surrounding Geonosis. A great scene, by the way. That was just me editorializing on the side. Kenobi releases his ship's spare parts so that they are hit by Jango Fett's missiles.
Millie Bobby Brown was -2 at the time Attack of the Clones was released.
It just makes me feel old.
Yeah.
Because I was an adult.
That's fair. I mean, she's only like 14, isn't she?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, I am literally twice her age and then some. Kenobi releases his ship's spare parts so that they're hit by Jango Fett's missiles, and during the subsequent explosion, Obi-Wan manages to land on an asteroid and power down his ship.
Yes.
Jango Fett leaves confidently, assured that he has obliterated his enemy, when in fact, this Jedi is still alive and has merely faked his death.
All right, yeah, you got us there.
So far, this is 2 per film. He's on a good clip here.
It's fine. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm saying it was the implication that it happened every time he turned a corner in a corridor. Aren't you?
Spontaneous combustion. I've never seen that before.
Like literally the worst game of Metal Gear Solid you've ever seen.
In episode 3, Commander Cody is told to execute Order 66 on planet Utapau. At the time, Obi-Wan Kenobi is climbing up a cliffside mounted on a Varactyl named Boga. Cody orders his troops to blast Kenobi, and when they open fire, the Jedi Master falls from a cliff down into a sinkhole. Probe droids are dispatched in search of his corpse, but clever Obi-Wan decides it best not to promenade in open sight and instead conceals himself. Kenobi manages to escape the planet unseen by commandeering General Grievous' starfighter because, well, this Jedi knows a thing or two about faking his death. In his massive yacht.
Yeah, all right.
Deep cut there. I saw him in London the other day.
David Mitchell.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just a fun
Did he
little
recognise
thing.
you?
No. He was a little bit further. He's a little bit further down the road. Unfortunately for him, he wasn't the most famous person I've seen in London recently because I saw Academy Award winner Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It was awesome. I was really it took me a while to just go, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is him.
Yeah.
Wow. It was in a posh bit, so it's not surprising. I think there was some sort of event going on because there was lots of really nice cars parked outside one restaurant.
Okay.
Made me think, I wonder if this might be connected in some way to...
Mm-hmm. Should have asked him if he was Jared Leto.
Oh, can you imagine? Where was I? At the end of episode 3, on the asteroid of Polis Massa, Padme Amidala has died of a broken heart after giving birth to Leia and Luke Skywalker. But neither Darth Vader nor Emperor Palpatine appear to be aware that the children have survived their birth. Why not? Because Obi-Wan Kenobi, Jedi Master and Master of Death Fakery, has these 4 sensitive infants in his care, and he, among others, is instrumental in faking their deaths.
Yeah, all right, you got us there.
In Rogue One, while on planet Scarif on a mission to steal the Death Star schematics, Captain Cassian Andor of the Rebel Alliance is shot down by Imperial leader Orson Krennic and is seen to fall to his death. Later, when Jyn Erso is in danger of meeting the same fate at Krennic hands, a not dead yet Cassian returns and shoots down Krennic. It seems the filmmakers of this Star Wars story have faked Cassian's death.
That's a little meta. That
one's yeah. I mean, that's fair. I mean, it's not inaccurate by any stretch, but I know what you mean. This is one of those. I think Dee's gone through it and said, yeah, this one's good. This one's good. I'll mention tenuous because there's a couple here that are like a little bit, a little bit of a reach.
Yeah.
In episode 4, Luke Skywalker is hanging out with Ben Kenobi at his home in the Jundland Wastes. Kenobi relates the story of how Luke's father, Anakin Skywalker, died at the hands of Darth Vader. But this is simply not true, for, spoilers, not only is Anakin Skywalker alive, but he actually is Darth Vader. By telling the young Skywalker these half-truths, that crazy old wizard is faking Anakin Skywalker's death. It seems fair. I mean, that's fair. He is.
Yeah.
From a certain point of view.
Yeah, from a certain point of view, I'll give you.
Yeah.
I just don't know that any official legal interpretation of faking someone's death involves going, oh, yeah, he did.
I mean, it depends, right?
No, it's to the extent I don't know that lying to a teenage boy in your garage, that's probably got a different criminal charge, to be honest with you.
It depends. Lying with a teenage boy in a garage. Yeah, I think it definitely does. In episode 4, Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi are having a casual lightsaber duel on the Death Star. Kenobi tells his old Padawan that if he strikes him down, he'll become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. But if you notice, Vader does not strike Kenobi down. Kenobi becomes one with the Force before Vader's lightsaber has a chance to connect with him. Essentially, Obi-Wan's last act while he's still alive is to die of his own accord while faking his death at the hands of Darth Vader.
No. Dying is not faking your death.
No, I see what he means. He's faking. So Obi-Wan's faking the fact that Vader did it. He's faking the means of death. No, you can't say. Do you know what's a really good way? If I actually die, that would be the best way of faking my own death. Is what you're saying? No. What I'm saying is he's
faking the means.
Faking the means. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, he's doing that. That's what he's doing. It's tenuous again.
I'm not so on board with this one.
I grant you.
I appreciate the effort.
So, faking his death at the hands of Darth Vader so that Luke Skywalker will hate his own father and be compelled to take up arms against the Empire. That's true. Lest we forget that up until Luke does it, Vader and Obi-Wan and Yoda are saying that it can't be done and he has to be destroyed. Mm-hmm. He's saying that he can't be redeemed. It's beyond that. I mean, they've seen him do a lot of messed up stuff, so I can understand why they've come to that conclusion.
They've seen Rogue One, yeah.
They've seen Rogue One. They've seen They've watched the videos of Episode 3, the uncut, the Zapruder film cut of the younglings in the temple. Anyway, so in Episode 5, there is not actually a lot of solid faking of deaths. It's like the only knock against that movie. Not a lot of death fakery. 4 out of 10. Luke decapitates Darth Vader on Dagobah, but that's only a momentary fake out until Luke sees his own face in the disembodied head and realizes he's on some sort of Jedi vision quest.
Does Luke pretend to be dead to fake out the Wampa? I don't know why I'm helping him.
He's out cold, isn't he?
Yeah.
To that point.
Yeah.
Because that would be...
He kind of wakes up and sees it and pulls like I wasn't sure if he tried to...
I don't know. It would be pretty hilarious if he did. I'm
withdrawing that. Maybe one of the Minox fakes its own death.
Maybe. It's pretty hilarious if Luke... You just imagine this, like, this would be one of those comedy scenes where Luke comes to and he looks over and he sees his lightsaber embedded in the snow and he starts trying to reach out for it. The Wampa looks up and he's just like, and just goes limp. So, and just kind of over and over again, just trying to get this lightsaber. And every time the Wampa's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
But by then it's too late. C-3PO has been blasted into pieces on Cloud City and reconstituted, but a death's not really been faked. He just needed to be pieced back together.
Yeah, that wasn't so much a fake death as actual attempted murder. Or at least criminal damage of property, depends on your opinion of droids, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Luke seemingly commits suicide by falling to his death, but after finding out that Darth Vader is his father. But we, the audience, see that he survives and witness his winding path down to the weather vane beneath Cloud City. He's ultimately saved by Lara Organa and Lando Calrissian on the Millennium Falcon. They escape, and despite Vader having previously choked out Admiral Ozzel for failing him, he spares Admiral Piet. This has nothing to do with anything. I bring it up because I find this detail very touching. Mm-hmm. Piet is spared because after all those years, Vader has finally made contact with his son, whose death had been faked, mind you, and Luke is a lingering reminder of Anakin's long-lost humanity and of the long-lost love he once shared with Padme.
Right.
Having been duped by Palpatine, turned into a monster, and knowing nothing but pain, anger, and hatred in every waking moment since, Anakin Skywalker at last has some brief momentary joy in his heart. I like that. That's nice. It's like a Star Wars greeting card. So up until the point where they communicate via the Force, I would be on board as this one is a death fake, because he does drop off the weather vane, and there's no reasonable explanation that he would have survived it other than some, the will of the Force.
Yep, a story for another time.
Yeah, exactly. Which it seems like is going to potentially be told in comics, which is fine, I guess. But would have been nice.
That's always filled. No, that's always the way it's been.
It hasn't. I don't agree. I think that actually there's a lot of reliance on the extended materials in the modern thing. Perhaps
more so.
Perhaps there wasn't in the original trilogy era because that stuff came way later.
Yeah, I think it's a creative shift. It's almost like there were gaps, be they plot holes or just vacuums of no information in the original trilogy. And other creative types came along and did books or comics or novellas or role-playing game supplements or however they chose to explore that part of the universe, and it kind of filled out the information that way. Yeah. I agree there is now more of an attitude of, we haven't got to worry about that because someone will do a comic about it. Yeah,
that's the thing is, like, I think there's more of a they're using it. I don't want to say crutch because it comes across like it's more extreme than I want to kind of suggest, but I do think there's a certain amount of over reliance on it.
Yes, I agree with that.
I think they've gone too far down the route of like, we know we can do this, so let's just let's not worry about it too much. It's like, well, maybe it might be good to include that particular detail. But I think, again, it comes down to, as we've talked about many times, certainly since The Rise of Skywalker, that should be the story group's thing, is figuring out which stuff. And maybe they're just, they're calling balls and strikes and it's not quite landing. And that's fair enough. Yeah. But, it does seem to me like there's a bit more of a reliance on that, possibly because they can. Mm-hmm. And, there's a sort of, I don't necessarily think it's hubris on their part to kind of think that everybody will go and do it because it's Star Wars, but I think I think it's easy to forget because, we're going back to the social media thing again, because social media can make 10 people sound like 10,000 with the right tactics and tools. Yeah. People can easily be, I think people can be forgiven for thinking that the demand for something is significantly higher than it actually is. Yeah. Just because the people who are shouting the loudest are shouting very loudly, it doesn't mean there actually are that many people who, who want something to be done X, Y, and Z way. And I think they're fine. I think they're learning that for one thing, it strikes me that they're learning that from the amount of toys that, they seem to be selling better now from recent earnings stuff, like all the sort of earnings calls and stuff. Apparently their toy sales are back up, but it's been bad for a long time. I think part of that is kind of, there's lots of people like Dr. Aphra. It's like, yeah, lots of people do, but they're not necessarily enough to support a 3.75 inch figure. No. That sort of thing, And the whole thing about, I've talked before about the Black Series stuff where I think that now it's very, let's give everybody a Black Series figure when it used to be more of like a Hall of Cult appeal kind of status thing. It was like, this character's a cult favorite. Let's give them a Black Series figure and really kind of, a premium product. And now it's just like, we'll just do loads. Yeah. It just sort of, I don't know, it just feels like it loses a little something. But
just do Grumgar or something.
Yeah, or, Constable Zuvio, I guess. I don't know.
Dr. Zaius,
Yeah, well, Dr. Zaius, absolutely. Who wouldn't want a 6-inch Dr. Zaius in his full crown? I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen that film. In episode 6, Anakin Skywalker redeems himself by throwing Emperor Sheev Palpatine down into the second Death Star's reactor.
Or does he?
The galaxy rejoices at the Emperor's death, except that, nope, the Sith Eternal have kept Darth Sidious alive somehow by using machinery and their unnatural Sith abilities. A mere 31 years later, the undead speak when it is finally revealed that this Sith Lord has faked his death.
See, on a technicality, that one came about after we ripped your previous idea.
Well, it depends on who.
If you notice, but we ripped that idea as well.
And I don't know. Well, it depends on who you believe as to whether or not it came. Which came first, the retcon or the other thing. And it really depends on how much stock you put in the idea that it was all planned from the start. And personally, not much.
Yeah.
In episode 7. Poe Dameron and FN-2187 escape from the First Order in a Special Forces TIE fighter which crash lands on Jakku. Finn awakens and finds the remains of the TIE fighter only to witness it sinking into the desert sands and then exploding, presumably with Poe Dameron still in it. Now, while Poe Dameron did not voluntarily fake his death for any strategic reason, the filmmakers faked his death for the viewing audience until the character shows up again on planet Takodana along with the Resistance to do battle with the First Order.
No.
It's a meta one again.
It's a too meta, yeah. So now I've agreed with a few of these, but there's a few I have to contest.
At the conclusion of episode 8, Luke Skywalker saunters out from the Resistance base on Crate to take on the whole First Order by himself. His incorrigible nephew, Kylo Ren, well, that turned out not to be the case, furiously commands the First Order to shoot down the Last Jedi, and they comply with a prolonged barrage of turbo laser cannon fire, leaving a red-clouded pit where previously stood Old Man Luke.
So what turned out to not be the case? I'm confused.
Kylo Ren being incorrigible.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, I thought you were using nephew. I was like, yeah, he is.
No, he is.
Yeah, so that was what threw me. I was like,
that family stuff.
Miss some exposition?
No, that family exposition stayed the same.
Yeah, fine.
After the salt and dust settles,
what incorrigible means
cannot be corrected.
Well, let's find out.
I'm pretty sure that's right, but
you're absolutely right.
I was going to say I am incorrigible. After the salt and dust settle, Luke appears again, not dead, and looks to be completely unharmed. Kylo Ren descends from a walker to face his former Jedi Master, and after a lot of carrying on, finally seems to cut his uncle in half. Only no, Luke remains untouched because he was actually force projecting himself from Ahch-To. Effectively, this Jedi fakes his death in order to save...
No. He died. He was faking that he was there, and then he died. He didn't pretend to die on Crate. He pretended to be on Crate.
Can I please finish the sentence at least?
No, done. No,
it's Big Red.
He's pushing his luck.
It's Big Red.
Yeah.
And also, by faking his death, he actually brought about his death. Ironic. He could fake his death to save 12 others from death, but not himself, nor the hundreds, if not thousands, of Resistance members who had already died during the course of the film previous to this Jedi's tardy arrival.
Hey, he saved 30 people and some foxes.
This is true. It's 30? You reckon it's that many?
I don't really care.
No, fair. In episode 9, no characters willingly fake their deaths. In fact, Emperor Palpatine comes clean about his decades-long ruse during the film's opening crawl. Still hurts, that. However, the filmmakers did manage to fake several deaths for the audience. While on planet Pisana, the film would have the audience believe that BB-8, C-3PO, Chewbacca, Finn, Poe Dameron, and Rey have all sunk to their deaths in a sucking sinkhole of dark sands. The camera even lingers on the spot where our heroes have disappeared, as if to convince us of their tragic demise.
No. The Last Jedi may have prepared me for some expectations being perverted, but at no point did I believe they were going to kill off the entire cast of the movie at the 20-minute mark.
No?
No. I mean,
okay.
Last Jedi made me aware that they were willing to take some risks, but that was ballsy doing that.
Yeah, this is it. I thought,
the entire cast.
Well, our expectation. I was thinking. Well, our expectation.
What killed them? Sand.
I mean,
that's foreshadowed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, no. just no. Just no.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
I don't believe that even the filmmakers, not a single one was going, we're going to have got the audience here. They're going to think we've killed everyone at the 20-minute mark.
I thought, given this series' strong desire to subvert expectations and then turn out not to have subverted much at all, I thought they would be entirely within the realms of propriety for them to kill the entire cast off and then have the rest be a Lost-style coma dream, just bearing out the end of the film. And you just think, much like the end of Breaking Dawn Part 2.
Yeah.
You find yourself thinking, man, that would have made a much better ending than what we got.
Yeah.
One of the worst films I've ever seen in my life.
What, Rise of Skywalker? Man, it's not even the worst Star Wars movie.
No, it's not even my least favourite.
Yeah.
No, Breaking Dawn Part 2. No, it's one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And I've seen some shockers.
I think really the only what would have been a better ending for episode 9 would have been at the moment where, well, my serious one
right,
is if instead of saying I am every Jedi,
yep,
all the Jedi,
it's
Rey had said,
in me.
Yeah, if Rey had said I am one with the Force and the Force is with me, it would have been so much better.
Yeah, I remember you telling me this one. That's a really good idea. I would have made a much better phrase. I also would have liked it if it wasn't so on the nose with I am Iron Man. It felt very much like a similar kind of.
I didn't make that connection, but I'm not a huge MCU fan, so
okay.
I get it, but I didn't draw that parallel on my own.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, and the only way I've made, I suppose another good ending would have been if after Rey had said her name was Rey Skywalker, Padme had sat up in bed and said, I've had the strangest dream.
And then the Dallas theme plays for no reason. I don't know how you could have improved that ending. You just, who are you? Rey? Rey who? Rey Skywalker. Huh. You got the face of a Palpatine. Credits. Nice, you look like a Palpatine.
I part of me wishes she just said just Rey.
Yeah, that would have been fine, I think. The whole thing was like, the whole message all the way through seemed to be like, you don't need to come from something kind of, some lineage. And then at the end, she's just like, I'll just have one.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said before, you can't knock her scavenging credentials. She has managed to help herself to everything interesting about the original trilogy over the course of 3 films.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it seemed to me like Chewbacca would be a natural fit to have the Falcon afterwards, but it seems to have just become Rey's because reasons.
Yeah.
But, you know.
I wasn't sure if Lando got it back.
No, I mean, I get the impression that, you know, it's just belongs to Rey now. Because it's Chewbacca's basically her chauffeur.
Yeah.
And emphasis on the fur.
Yeah. I see what you did there.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you did. Where was I? So the film quickly reveals there is still, in fact, alive in some underground tunnels. Not much later, Chewbacca dies at the hands of Rey Palpatine as she loses control and unleashes Force lightning, which tears apart the transport ship that is carrying our beloved Wookiee. Except that, no, this isn't the transport ship you're looking for.
Doesn't count if the script does it. That's not.
These are the ones that were said. They're tenuous, but they are tenuous, they are misdirects. I'm
just chiming in on all of them.
That's fine.
I'm doing my job as podcast co-host.
That's fine.
You didn't say to me, Brad, do you want to come and do a podcast with me? I will require you to sit in absolute silence for 3 hours a week.
No, I mean...
sometimes maybe you should have done.
No, I found myself thinking over the years, I could have asked him that, but would I have expected him to listen? Sort of feel like if I'd been looking for that, I wouldn't have asked you anyway.
Yeah.
Where was I? So, a few moments later, they show the mighty Chewbacca is alive and being held captive by the First Order. Yeah. Near the end of the film, Ben Solo is killed by Palpatine by being thrown down an open crevice, except that he returns alive, fairly unharmed, only to die mere moments later, for real this time, by giving his life essence to resurrect Rey Palpatine, who had also died mere moments earlier after her grandfather, Sheev Palpatine, had drained her of her life essence and after she expended the last of her energy fighting her granddaddy to the death.
Fine.
Yep.
Makes sense.
I mean, yeah. As much as it will. From a certain point of view, it could also be said that the Sith Order faked its death by being in hiding for centuries prior to the events of the Phantom Menace. That the Imperial Army faked its death after the events of Return of the Jedi by furtively remaining active, renaming themselves the First Order, the Final Order, and building up their numbers while none were the wiser. I quite like that as an idea that they faked not so much faked their death as faked their obscurity. Yeah. By my reckoning, Obi-Wan Kenobi has faked his death 4 times throughout the course of these films and faked the deaths of 3 major characters, Anakin, Leia, and Luke Skywalker. But after going through all these fake deaths, I'm now of the thought that this narrative device has been overused, and I pray they never resort to Obi-Wan faking his death. Faking his death in the Disney Plus Kenobi series. That's it from me for now. If I'm forgetting any fake deaths, please remind me of them. I look forward to hearing your response to all this, even if you have another laugh at my expense. Laugh with your expense, D.
It was never at your expense.
Yeah, laugh
D.
with your expense.
Ever. No.
Your loyal fan,
no,
D.
Never.
No, so say it's never. It was always laugh with your expense.
No. Just this is. We weren't ever. This is a different thing. It wasn't that we were laughing at you. It was that we're British, and that's how we do this.
Yeah. You know, I don't think D genuinely thinks we were mean-spirited. Otherwise, I feel like if we'd upset him,
have written in.
If we'd upset him truly, he wouldn't have stayed listening for 2 years, and he wouldn't have written
exactly.
in after. It seems.
It was lovely to hear from you.
Yes, exactly. And long may feel free to write in any time, and
and thoroughly spank us like you did just then.
Oh my! So our next message comes from Michael in Sydney, and Michael writes, "G'day Rob, g'day Brad. I've really enjoyed listening to the last 2 podcasts and what we like about Star Wars. I've been listening to you guys while traveling back and forth from work, and it's been very entertaining walking back through the movies with you. I've taken the movie quote challenge and submit some of my personal favourites as follows. Episode 1. Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. I sense much fear in you. Oh, Yoda, if you knew something was wrong, why didn't you take more time to help train Anakin?" I actually like that.
He's busy.
Yeah. I mean, with what, though? Let's be fair.
He's got cushions to sit on.
It does look like...
He's got arms to fold. He's got brows to furrow. He's a puppet.
Yeah. I mean...
So he needs someone with him at all times.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were being deep on a political level.
No, I was being meta. That's what we do on the show now.
Yeah, no, you're being very literal. He's a puppet. So... I mean, it's a really great quote because, he goes through all these different stages of basically the stages of grief, but for the dark side. And then he ends the sentence with, you're at step 1. It's like, wow. I can understand why he's a bit like,
So a meme absolutely broke me from that same scene, which was, your thoughts dwell on your mother. My thoughts dwell on your mother. And
then, and Keanu Reeves like, ooh. Yeah. Okay, so from episode 2.
Yes.
What if I told you that the Republic was now under the control of a Dark Lord of the Sith? The fact that Dooku told Obi-Wan the truth, then offered him an alliance, but Obi-Wan didn't believe him. Whew. The spin-off what-if ramifications are fun to contemplate. It's a great bit. They deal with... He never lies to Obi-Wan. He tells him the entire truth, and that's kind of intriguing. There's a lot of what I like about the prequels is they paint the Jedi as complex. They don't just have them as kind of unadulterated heroes of the galaxy in every, with no flaws whatsoever. They're very dogmatic. They're caught up in the bureaucracy when they shouldn't be. Qui-Gon's the one who's kind of like, we're on the wrong path here, and everybody's like, nah, mate, we're good. Probably because, maybe there's some government funding or something. I don't know. Don't know. Maybe it's much like, when we have the census over here and everybody thinks they're really clever because they put Jedi, and what they end up actually doing is securing more funding for religious education. Yep. It's a bit, I guess it might be a bit like that in Star Wars. More people say Jedi on the census and there's more money for the temple. Yep. Which they're using on cushions, clearly, because there's not much, there doesn't seem to be much else upholstered in that place. The archives are pretty well stocked up. They probably give Jocasta Nu a fair bit of rope in terms of books to buy. Yeah. Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Glorious scene with the Palps knowing exactly what strings to pull to lure Anakin across to the dark side. The operatic backdrop and music, and who doesn't long for more Sith legends expanding the Star Wars fandom? Yeah, I mean, I cannot possibly disagree with that. It's one of my favourite scenes in all of Star Wars, that whole Opera House scene. When you think about how little is actually happening on the screen, but there's so much, it has so much impact on the saga, and so much, everything's so wonderfully, what I love about episode 3, and I've written about it before and I've talked about it before, is that Ian McDiarmid plays the perfect balance of subtlety and ham. Yeah. It's just every scene is gloriously, he just picks the perfect mood for every bit. This is wonderfully subtle. And then there's the bit where he's basically just making stupid faces and chewing the scenery when he's taking out 3 Jedi in the space of a single jump. Or 2 Jedi and
almost a Psycho Crusher.
Yeah, he does. This is it. You know, he goes full on M. Bison and takes out 2 really seasoned Jedi, and then he's in a good sort of equal match with Mace Windu.
Yeah.
Who's more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him? I personally use this one in everyday life. Great quote.
Yeah.
No, try not. Do or do not. There is no try. It's a line about commitment. It's very black and white and probably doesn't work outside of a good versus evil world, but it's one of the Star Wars quotes that always springs to mind. It's a trap. Definitely meme-worthy. Possibly the most universally known Star Wars quote that even non-fans can still know where this line comes from.
Yeah.
A Robot Chicken helps with that, I think.
Yep.
There's some wonderful, some wonderful send-ups of that particular bit. And Akbar's one of those kind of fan-favourite cult characters. He'd be the kind of person I'd expect to get his own special Black Series figure just because he's meme-worthy.
Yeah.
The meme series.
24-inch one, yeah.
24-inch Black Series, full 106 points of articulation.
Yeah, he's even damp.
Yeah, and he cannot be dried no matter how hard you try. Women always figure out the truth. Always. Harrison's delivery and gaze. My wife turned to me in the cinema after this line was delivered and nodded. Made me laugh out loud, as true in the movie as it is in real life. Han Solo is the best in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
He's so good. Yeah. He's so funny. He plays that sort of Obi-Wan, you know, I'm going to have to... He's the one who makes way for the sort of progression of the story.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he's so good in that film. He's got so many great lines.
Yeah.
Oh, really? You're cold?
It's nice to see Harrison Ford enjoying himself. I don't believe it happens very often.
No, I get the feeling he's probably one of those people who sits... he sits around, you know, he spends his evening sitting eating spaghetti and talking about his day. He doesn't strike me as somebody who's kind of doing a lot of like extreme sports. Yeah. Impressive. Every word in that sentence was wrong. Love the line from Luke. I've used the line. It's brilliant. Then the tickling with the leaf and the smack. I think he means a smack on the back of the hand, to be clear. I don't think there was a scene. There's a scene I missed where Michael just got bored and started watching Trainspotting.
Yeah.
Episode 9, I've been every voice you have ever heard inside your head.
That was amazing.
Not only did it sound amazing in the theatre, but the concept that Ben's conscience versus temptation has been forever manipulated by an outside force.
Yeah, that
was so good. It was almost that one was almost a shame that they revealed it in a TV spot. Like, because that was one of those ones that was in the TV.
On the one hand, yeah, I know what you mean. On the other hand, I wasn't feeling very hyped for Rise of Skywalker until that bit dropped, and it actually got me pumped up for it.
That is true. I think that had that effect.
Roundabouts, I think. Yeah.
I think it had that effect on me too. I just feel like it would have been one of those really cool in cinema reveals to get that moment just to play out live, and you're sitting there like, whoa, wait, what? Whoa.
Yeah.
But that's not quite what we got. But I agree. It had the same effect on me, I think, if I remember rightly.
Cool.
Regarding the question on the original cast, Han, Luke, and Leia's on-screen deaths, I thought Han's death was spot on. Provided the evolutionary push for Ben, and certainly caught me off guard as a viewer.
Yep.
As to Luke and Leia, I don't think I've ever been fully satisfied about their on-screen deaths. It was completely unfortunate that our beloved Carrie passed away in 2016. I did leave the cinema at the end of The Last Jedi, scratching my head, thinking, so Luke's dead, but Leia's still alive. How are they going to make that work? I do appreciate what The Rise of Skywalker has given me as a fan, and I wouldn't want to reduce Carrie's performance or legacy in any way. I could, however, see it making perfect sense from a movie standpoint if Leia's final moment was when Kylo Ren blew up the Radis's bridge and Leia was sucked into space, ultimately tying the death of both father and mother to Kylo. I think it could have been the Leia maneuver instead of Holdo. I mean, I'd rather they didn't do it, don't get me wrong. But
I'm not sold on that.
I would, of the two, I feel like, not necessarily in the first draft, but given what they had the situation they had to work with, it would have made sense. I would have seen it as like like an act of kind of an act of Leia-esque defiance. Just that kind of last middle finger to the forces of evil.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe. How
they would have made that work, who knows? But, because that would have been a hard one to kind of balance. I wasn't a huge fan of Luke's death, but I appreciate the symmetry of Luke's vanishing to the Force just as Yoda had done.
Mm-hmm.
My question posed for you this week is one I ask myself whenever I rewatch The Force Awakens. The big guy in Maz Kanata's castle scene, he's the one lounging with the spy for the First Order. I had to Google his name. Grumgar. This guy looks so bloody awesome. For a flash and you miss it character, I would have loved to see more. Who is your 1-2 scene character who you think looks so damn cool you just want to see a little more of their story? All the best, Michael from Sydney.
Bosk. I mean, we've got some stories.
Yeah, that's true.
All the bounty hunters, to be fair, they look awesome. Even Zuckers looks awesome. I don't care what anyone says. But Bosk and IG-88, I think, are great, and I've enjoyed the stories we have received. But yeah, they're one of the few characters I've looked at and was like, yeah, tell me more about these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me. I enjoyed the short story compilation Tales from Mos Eisley Cantina, but at no point when watching Star Wars did I go, tell me more about what that guy's up to.
Yeah, no, I
bounty hunters up there was a vibe of stories. These guys were just guys in a bar. Tales of Jabba's Palace maybe a little more, I guess, but yeah, probably like the bounty hunters, the 1-2 scene guys. I mean, we're still waiting for Disney Plus to announce the Lobot show.
Yeah, the standalone Lobot show would have been vaguely interesting.
Even if it's just like a Jerry Springer type thing with him hosting.
Yeah, I think Boba Fett qualifies for this.
Yeah,
because he's not in much.
He's not in much,
and I would have liked to see more of his story. But then I suppose if you're thinking about it from the point of view of the films, he qualifies. But if you're talking about the entire connected canon, he's in Clone Wars and stuff like that. So, and he's in the. I think isn't he in Dark Disciple as well, the Quinlan Vos one. Quinlan Vos and Ventress.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
I'm trying to think in terms of other characters besides that. I mean, is it cynical to say Rose Tycho? I mean, I liked her fine, but that's not my serious answer.
Mary Adot Brandybuck, whatever his character's name was.
Yeah, I wasn't so bothered about him. He felt like he could have.
He was a scriptwriter, apparently.
No, indeed. He sort of felt like he could have easily not been there and it would have been just fine.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, still, he got to be in Star Wars. That's pretty cool. Good for him.
Yeah. Good for him.
Good
for him.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, Krennic. He's not a one scene. The only thing is he's not a 1-2 scene character, but he is one whose backstory is.
Krennic's definitely a major character. So I think it is more like the background artists he's talking about here.
Yeah. So your Saw Gerreras, basically.
And your Garindans.
Yeah.
And your Sarlaccs.
Yeah. I'd say would Saw Gerrera qualify just based on the films? He's only in Rogue One.
Well, he was a Clone Wars character first, wasn't he?
Yeah. But in terms of if you're just I suppose it depends on whether you're just talking about the film. Because if you're talking about the films, some of these characters do have backstory you just haven't seen.
I just feel I may be misinterpreting it.
No, I think that's fair.
I thought he was talking about just more like the Cantina crowd, the Jabba's Palace crowd, and guys like guys like Grumgar. He's barely in it. It's just like, hey, he looks cool. I wonder if that's what he was driving at. I mean, the Jawa who gets catapulted in the air by the Ronto in the special edition of A New Hope, he's pretty cool.
Here's one actually who qualifies now. Now that the new canon the old canon stuff's been scrubbed, Wedge.
Yeah,
because now he's restricted to a little bit of Resistance Reborn
trilogy.
And original trilogy, and the one scene, and blink and you'll miss it
Aftermath.
In Rise of Skywalker.
Aftermath as well.
A little bit of Aftermath, but
yeah, as a MacGuffin, but
it's just, is what it is. Because he was. I've been reading the Legends new. They do this big epic collection comic books.
Yeah.
I've been reading the New Republic ones, and I'm in the first one's pretty much all about Mara Jade. Second one's almost entirely Wedge.
Oh,
it's very Rogue Squadron stuff.
They ran for a long time. Yeah,
it's good. I mean, it's a little bit. I'm finding myself going okay, I could do with another story now, but it's just because it's a collected volume. I'm just getting nothing but Rogue Squadron, which is fine.
Wedge.
Yeah, it's wedge to the gills, but I'm quite happy for the time being with that. But I'm ready for whatever the third volume of the comics is. I think it might be Thrawn era. It looks like they're from the artwork.
A character who has a few, even across all the collected media, has a few appearances, but nothing of real substance, is Mon Mothma.
Yeah, that's a really good shout, actually, because she's only in, She's in a deleted scene in episode 3 that's never seen, only seen the light of day in the deleted scenes. She's in Rogue One. Yeah. And she's in Jedi very, very briefly, and then she's touched on in, if you pardon the expression, she's mentioned in Aftermath, and that's about it.
Yeah, she pops up in like comics and books, but she does basically the same job she does in Jedi and Rogue One,
which is just
to be dungeon master essentially.
Yeah, yeah.
And she needs give me a Mon Mothma story.
No, I can see that. I can see that working quite well, actually.
Yeah,
that'd be nice. What else?
GK421.
Yeah, I mean, fair. We could probably, find out more about him. Where's this guy? Where's this guy from? I want to know more about this guy.
Yeah.
I think Wedge would be my answer now.
Emphas Nest.
Oh, yes, good call. Emphas Nest is awesome. And just the whole Cloud Rider gang thing in general. Yeah. But especially Emphas Nest. And also the Emphas Nest before, like the mum. Like just the whole kind of lineage of that would be cool. Yeah.
Give us a story about Emphas Nest like the Phasma novel.
Yes. Which I just finished recently, actually.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I did the January Lavoie audiobook, and it was good.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
It ended with Across the Stars, of course, Comme d'habitude. Yeah. Apart from that, it was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was...
Which is, if you don't speak French, is French for come into my house.
Yeah. January the welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I enjoy the Phasma and the Phasma comics. In fact, it made me annoyed that she gets Boba Fetted so hard in Last Jedi.
Oh, and she gets Boba Fett really hard in Force Awakens, and then they double down in Last Jedi. Yeah. It's like, it's just, did you learn nothing from the reaction? Like, everybody really wanted to see this character because you made her look so cool.
I loved how J.J. Abrams said I would not having her in Episode 9 because it was starting to get a bit like Kenny in South Park. Yeah. Oh, by the way, here's Palpatine.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, we wouldn't want to just bring back characters gratuitously anyway. Here's here's Palpatine, Wedge,
Lando.
It's like basically here's the people who were free and were willing to do it, and we could pay them some money. And
Dominic Monaghan.
Yeah, who of course was that famous character in Sebastian.
They hyped him being in it so much. Is what got me.
Yeah,
and he might as well not been in it.
Well, I mean, you see what they did to Matt Smith. It's nothing. Like, we still don't know if he's even in there.
He's the bloke operating the crane that operates Palpatine, but he's just off shot. It's
you can just about make him
known to man.
Just make him out in the background if you look really hard.
Yeah, that's great.
You have to have a really good quality TV as well to get the contour. Otherwise, he just looks like a standard dude. It's no good. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Michael, thank you very much for sending those in. And hopefully you like our answers. And I'll put this one out to the listeners as well, actually. Who's your favourite one scene or one or two scene character? Who would you want to see developed in books or TV or connected media of other kinds? Let us know. So we're out of questions.
Okay.
So I have the ones from the bank.
Oh yeah, we had bank ones.
There's only a couple, and so I think we might as well just do them all.
Yeah, cool. Just bank me off. That's great.
Yep, cool. I will begin the banking. So, favorite character from extended media. So we're going to go in two parts for this one.
Oh, are we? Okay.
Yeah, one is new canon and one is Legends.
Oh, we're doing that. Okay.
Yes. Start with Legends. Let's go for that.
I mean, I love Thrawn, as all should.
Yep. That'll be my pick.
I loved Kip Durran, man.
I know how much you enjoy Kip Durran.
Kip Durran was awesome because he was another like guy, a young man who went dark and then came back again. But it was the way they brought him back again in the later series.
Yeah.
To be honest, Old Man Boba Fett was awesome in like Legacy of the Force series stuff as well.
Yeah, kind of almost Clint Eastwoody kind of grizzled old, too old for this kind of character.
Yeah, he was great.
Thrawn would be my pick.
Thrawn is a very, very good pick.
The one I liked as well, actually, he was one of those characters who came in, had a very small impact and then kind of went away again. But is it Ghana Rizod during the New Jedi Order?
Yeah.
So and he became like a Vong kind of folk hero.
Yes,
because of the way he died or something like that.
Yeah, he was only in one book, wasn't he?
Yeah, this is it. They talked about him in the book like he'd been around for ages, but I couldn't remember ever having heard his name before.
I did. No.
But
I'm gonna go with my final pick. I'm gonna go with a Sherrod Het stroke Darth Crate.
Oh, okay, interesting.
This Darth Crate was awesome.
He was awesome. Yeah.
Actually, I remember Bane.
Bane was. Oh man, actually, now, yeah, Bane's a tough one to write off.
I think I might have to go Bane.
Bane's a good pick because
for the bit where he kills the family in the house for no reason other than he's Darth Bane.
Yeah, I was going to say the Thought Bomb because the Thought Bomb is awesome.
Yeah,
it's basically just trick almost all the Sith into just taking themselves out.
Yeah,
it's great. But Thrawn will be my pick because there's only so many of the Legends extended canon stuff that I've gone back and reread and redone many times, and there's also only a few that I would go back and do now that they're no longer canon.
Okay,
Thrawn I would read any day of the week.
Yeah,
the original Thrawn trilogy, to a lesser extent, the second Thrawn trilogy.
The
duology. Sorry,
I've really liked the duology.
Yeah, it was good. I just don't think it's as good as I just don't think it's as strong as the trilogy. I think it's just because Thrawn is not really in it. Spoilers.
Yeah. Okay.
Because there's kind of this, there's obviously this whole kind of theatrical element to it with Thrawn. But he's not really in it. But the whole thing's about him, but not directly. Yeah, I like it, but it suffers from not having the character in it for me because the first Thrawn trilogy is just sublime.
Yeah,
so good. But Generazode is one of those ones that just kind of sticks in my head as one of those ones I just remember really liking when I read the book and just thinking, I like this character. I was sort of disappointed that this is the first I've ever heard and will ever hear again of him. But and similarly, do you remember New Rebellion?
Yeah.
The villain in that Quayar.
Yeah. Okay.
I liked him. I thought he was good. And that was another one where it's like, oh, he's a person underneath that who's familiar. I'm just like, is he? Okay. They're just Garnbell Ibis. Yeah, he's a good one.
Yeah, he was Sam Neill in my head.
That would work, I think. Yeah. Charles Dance could also probably work.
Oh, yeah, now. Yeah.
Although now I think he'd be Pelion.
Yeah, okay.
I could see him working as Pelion if they were to cast that. Guy's got a prestige around him.
Or old Boba Fett.
Oh, Boba Fett would be a good show, actually.
Yeah.
Although I think you feel like you would want Clint Eastwood, literally.
Yeah.
But it's on the nose, but at the same time, it's so good.
The cinematic moment he pulls off his helmet is Clint Eastwood underneath.
Yeah, absolutely. Or just that cinematic moment where Boba Fett just sits talking to an empty chair.
Yeah.
Everybody's like,
He's doing that thing again.
Yeah, I didn't realise this was a thing now. I thought this was just a one-off, but nope, he's got that in mind.
Nope, contractual.
Yeah, apparently so. It's got to be worked into every film.
But we've got to supply the chair.
He doesn't even bring it with him, and he takes it at the end.
We think it's a scam, but we can't work out how.
But nobody wants to say anything because it's Clint Eastwood. We're all just so starstruck.
What's he going to do with a dining set consisting of 28 mismatched chairs?
Well, he's found a way.
Yeah, if anyone can.
So, canon, new canon. It can be film stuff as well. Kind of.
It's all level now.
Yeah.
In theory.
Yeah. Afra seems like a good pick. Krennic? Yeah. I would like more.
If Rogue One counts as expanded.
I mean, I don't know. I'm sort of thinking because we already did the whole favourite characters from the films.
If we're doing non-movie, Dr. Aphra and 000, really cool.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm actually struggling slightly to think of other characters.
They've all been kind of pushing the main cast.
Yeah,
comics and stuff, haven't they?
Yeah, but then at the same time, also a lot of the characters who are, even if they're cool, who get introduced in the new canon, kind of get dispatched fairly swiftly. Chopper's a good pick. Yeah, because the TV counts as a separate thing.
Yeah.
What's the guy's name?
I feel like in a few weeks I'll be saying Baby Yoda. But...
You know how we said if he was to be cast, he'd be Matthew McConaughey. He's in he's in the new books. He's a Jedi.
Oh yeah,
cowboy guy. Ray something. Yeah. Is it Ray something? Ray Coulson or something? Oh man, I should know this.
He's in Jedi Lost, wasn't he?
He's in Jedi Lost, and he's in Master and Apprentice as well.
Yes. Oh, yeah, McConaughey was such a good shout as well.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look this up because I'm
Rail?
Rail, yes, Rail something. Oh, Rail Avaros or Rail Azeros?
Yeah, no, it's Warcraft, isn't it?
No.
We'll cut this bit.
No, that's all right. I'll just trim it. I'll just trim it down.
Yeah, no, that's done.
Yeah. How can you waffle this much and not write the name down? So I'm just reading a review, and they've managed to speak for 1,000 words and not say anything. I won't say who it is because that seems unfair. I'm not.
Rail Everos.
That's the one. Yes, he seems like a cool character.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they did a really good job with Jedi Lost.
Jedi Lost was brilliant.
Apart from the choice of Across the Stars, because please stop.
Yeah.
Please stop. And I say it was a little bit irritating when it turned up at the end of Phasma. It's like this could not be further from Across the Stars in tone. Like this is, I won't spoil it in case people want to read it because, I probably would have lost a little something had I had it spoiled for me.
Yeah. Okay.
But the end is not. There's nothing romantic about the end, and yet Across the Stars is in. It's like no, makes no sense. Okay, so favorite Star Wars toy you've ever had or ever seen?
I mean, my daughter's got a cuddly Chewie. He's kind of cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, Kyle gave it to her.
Oh,
yeah,
oh, nice.
Yourself? Palpatine's bioflesh regenerator.
You can just peel the flesh right off and put it back on. This is brilliant. Why don't more people have one of these?
You can just peel off bits of Return of a Jedi and paste it back on.
Go for Papa Convenience. I remember I have very fond memories of my Power of the Force figures.
The hench ones.
Yeah, the really hench ones. The Jedi Luke was probably the one that got the most played with.
So, Jesus, how heavy was Yoda?
Well, exactly. Yeah, I mean, he was just, they called him Swolder.
Yeah.
Han Swolo. Obi-Wan could lift bro. I don't know. They got stupider and stupider, to be honest. But yeah, in terms of the figures, I've never found myself owning a lot of the toys. When it comes to when I was younger, I had lots of secondhand stuff we bought at boot fairs and things like Millennium Falcon, and I had the AT-AT Walker, which is pretty cool. But in terms of how much I played with all the figures and stuff, it was probably the Power of the Force line. I used to do my own Star Wars Infinities, where Han would get the Force, and obviously it would be picked apart in fandom now, but
that's
kind of fandom.
I think
also wouldn't have cared what they thought. I was about 14.
I had a few because I was of the age where it must have been like the tail end of Return of a Jedi stuff was still knocking around. So I had a few toys as a kid.
Yeah,
but I've had a mix of different trilogy ones. So it must have just been either old ones, or did they keep something from? I was born in 82, and I must have been about 3 or 4 when I had this stuff. So we're looking 86. We must have just kept some still in production.
I guess so. I mean, the first, there's this whole, I can't remember the way the Star Wars toys kind of worked in terms of the way it was set up, but there was certainly there were waves of these things. Yeah,
so and I can remember, even though it's just I was like 3 or 4, so I was very small.
Yeah,
and I remember getting them new from a supermarket. I don't remember buying them. I had Luke in Stormtrooper outfit. I had Han in just like the black waistcoat.
I was going to say, because am I right in thinking that the Han in Stormtrooper outfit was a mail away? It was quite hard to get hold of.
No idea.
Unless I'm thinking of a more recent release.
And I had Darth Vader with the lightsaber in the forearm.
Oh.
I think I had a Chewie. But then I had some which were definitely Empire because I had Leia in the Bespin red dress.
Oh, okay.
And then I had a black suit Luke.
Okay.
And I also have Return of the Jedi R2-D2 because you rotated his dome and the lightsaber shot out the top.
Oh, right. So I had one where the little antenna popped up, but that was as far as mine went. I didn't have the pop-out one.
Yeah.
I think I had a Boba Fett, but not that one, not the really expensive one.
I know someone who did have a really expensive one.
Our family has this habit of picking up stuff like that and then just getting rid of it on the cheap without realizing. 'Cause my dad had, this is a completely different tangent, but you had one, so I'm going to have a go.
Go for it.
Yeah. My dad is a big Bowie fan.
Mm-hmm. As everyone should be.
As everyone should be, absolutely. And they did a limited edition vinyl of The Man Who Sold the World, where he's got a dress on the front.
Yes.
And my dad had one, and there were only so many made, and he gave it away.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't to know. He wasn't really into. He wasn't into the collecting side of vinyl and things like that so much. So he didn't know that things like that were worth a small fortune in vinyl terms.
Yeah.
So and then we had lots of Action Man stuff when we were kids that also got boot fared away on the cheap and stuff. So and that turned out to be worth a fair bit.
Oh, really?
Later on, I don't know what the appeal of it was. Whether it was, whether it would have gone for that sort of money for us, it was not in great. It wasn't in the most pristine condition because it was being played with. Toys were being played with in our house. We weren't like a keep stuff in the box kind of family. Because I don't understand how people were. Because when you're a kid, surely the temptation was, I want to play with this.
Yeah.
Why would you? I'm amazed there's anything in circulation that's boxed. No, it's strange to me. Yeah. But in terms of nowadays, I've got some box stuff, but that's mainly because I just don't have anywhere to display them. So I've just kept them in the boxes until such time as I have display space, or maybe I will just keep in the boxes forever. Who knows? But that's not I've not gone into it with that as the intent. Mm-hmm. If it ends up playing out that way, that's one thing. But I'm keen to, if I get a chance, I'm keen to sort of display them somewhere and make them look, show them off, because that's why you buy toys. Surely, is to put them up somewhere and put them on display. I'm not one of these for
Firewind Reddy's got an AT-AT. That's a pretty cool toy.
Yeah. Is that one of the original action figure toys?
Yeah, it's kind of one. Yeah.
Probably, it's probably one of the ones similar to the one I had.
Very probably. Yeah.
It wouldn't be the same one because
that would be a hell of a coincidence now, wouldn't it?
It would have been, yeah. Plus, also, if I'd known you were in the market for one, I just made you aware of somebody who might still have one for sale. It's the person I sold it to, but because we're still vaguely in touch. Mm-hmm. And then, and then the last question in the list is, so this one, you can tell when I wrote it that it was relying on us doing it on the same week that we did the entire run of all the films and favourite characters, because it's called Honourable Mention. And it was going to be, okay, you've said all your favourite characters from each film, but is there somebody, and basically I was expecting you to say Obi-Wan, who kind of throughout all the films is like awesome, but not quite awesome enough to win any single one.
There was lots of bits of Star Wars kind of hit that. Hey, I really like him. I really like that type vibe. From Obi-Wan through to relatively minor characters like Darth Malgus, I think don't get enough props. Mm-hmm. Obi-Wan is probably my fave. I think he's very cool.
He is very cool. Yeah, absolutely.
And he fakes his death a lot.
He does. This is true. As Dee pointed out.
It's his thing.
As Dee pointed out, it's one of those things that you can easily take for granted.
Yeah.
And clearly we have.
I think Jabba's a great character they should explore more as well.
That would be cool. That could be, for me, that's a framing for a Disney Plus series, is use Jabba's palace as the sort of, the point where they all coalesce, all the stories coalesce.
Basically do The Sopranos, but with Hutt cartels.
Kind of, yeah. Just like, a sort of a gangster series, but with the Hutt cartel as the kind of the thread that ties all that stuff together. I think that makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. Clearly they're going to be, looking for ideas. So I think you should submit that. I'd watch it. I think I don't think I'm alone in that. I think there's people out there who would
love
agree.
huts. Yeah,
exactly. They're all about the huts.
Yeah.
Listeners, is that you?
Yourself?
Are you all about the huts?
Hey, you didn't do your honorary mentions.
Yeah, it's Obi-Wan.
Krennic, right? Oh,
Krennic was my favourite character in Rogue One.
I get it.
Yeah. Obi-Wan would be my pick. He's just great, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's just lovely. He's so cool.
Obi-Wan.
And Obi-Wan. yeah. He's just so Obi-Wan.
He's his own adjective, yeah.
Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's Obi-Wan. But there you go, listeners.
Yes.
Let's get your thoughts on those. Podcast@emotionally14.com. Any of the questions we posed this evening are up for grabs. Get your thoughts in. And obviously, it sort of goes without saying as well, next episode is 200.
Ooh.
Get some thoughts in on that.
Yeah, what are we going to do to celebrate?
I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah, well, we can talk about that. Maybe we can think of something. But
that's true.
Yeah, but listeners, if you have thoughts or comments or whatever, send them over. Podcast@emotionally14.com. Next episode is episode 200, and then, well, I mean, at some point there'll be another one. But who's to say what form that'll take and when that we and blah blah blah. But so if you've enjoyed Talk Star Wars, and I mean, you're only human, there are numerous places where you can get access to it. It's available on iTunes, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, Spreaker. I said YouTube.
Pandora.
No, not Pandora. As well you bloody know. Basically, anywhere you can get podcasts, apart from Pandora, is a place where you can find Talk Star Wars. And you can find it on the web at talkstarwars.co.uk. There's a place that's just the podcast page. It goes directly there. And you can access the show there. You can listen to it. You can subscribe. You can download episodes and what have you. And then it's available every Monday on emotionally14.com. That's emotionally14.com. And there's a wonderful bunch of stuff on there, which I'm sure Brad will tell you a bit more about in a few minutes. But there's so much cool stuff. There's podcasts from around the world. There's video series. There's the written bits and pieces. And it's just a great place to go.
Just so much stuff.
There's loads of stuff. And you can find it on the web at emotionally14.com and connect to all the social media stuff for Talk Star Wars and Emotionally 14 by searching for those things on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. There are pages, Twitter accounts, and so on. And you can follow them all and message them all, and, I'll almost certainly reply. No guarantees, because, sometimes things pass me by, but I do my level best to engage as much as is possible. Brad, speaking of engaging on social media, tell us more about you.
More about me. If you've enjoyed me talking nonsense on this lovable Star Wars podcast, then who didn't? You can also catch my other Star Wars variety show, Fire When Ready, Adventures in Star Wars Tabletop Gaming, which is us playing Star Wars Legion, Star Wars Armada, and other associated activities. You can find that on emotionally14.com and on Emotionally 14's YouTube channel, and you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Fire When Ready, or at Fire When Ready UK, rather, for behind-the-scenes stuff, and my dad's been way too good at taking photos.
Oh, yes.
And if you want to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, you can do so at RealBradHB, and you can, of course, buy my books on Audible and Amazon.
Yes, you can, and you can do so via the Emotionally 14 Talk Star Wars post that goes out on a Monday morning. In that, it has a link where you can go to get the books directly. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Genius.
Yeah. Now, if you can't wait till Monday, because this is something I probably should have mentioned a minute ago, but if you can't wait till Monday and you have to have your Talk Star Wars fix a couple of days earlier, well, fear not. Fear not. We have you covered. So on Patreon, we offer a modest Patreon campaign. And when I say modest, I mean very small and very compact, like corned beef.
Yeah.
And it's one tier, $1. $1 a month. And it gives you access to an ad-free version of the feed, which drops on a Saturday morning. So you get access to this episode and all previous episodes ad-free and in your feed 2 days before they go out on general release. So if that sounds interesting to you, then you can go to patreon.com/talkstarwars and give $1 or whatever you care to give a month. And I should say thank you to Steve, who joined our Patreon this week. Welcome, and hopefully we will be worth the investment, worth the donation. But yeah, patreon.com/talkstarwars is an ad-free feed, $1 a month or whatever you care to give to help us cover our running costs, which are, not significant, but not zero. And, Patreon helps with that. So, that's a good place to go if you want to do that. So
exactly.
Yeah. If you want to keep up what I'm doing on social media, as I mentioned, not the most prolific social media person, but if you want to follow, I do occasionally tweet about stuff I'm enjoying. I make it sound like I'm really joyless and grim, but I'm not. It's just I don't tweet very often, but when I do, it's usually about stuff when I tweet, it's usually about stuff I like, but I just don't do it very often. I don't. Yeah. It doesn't mean every other day. Like
when hassling a tech company.
Yeah, well, yeah, that too. that was particularly enjoyable, and it got me my way.
Yeah.
Persistence and politeness is the key, kids.
One of those anyway.
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Rob Wade Vision, and I'm also, generally speaking, if you're talking on Twitter and Instagram, you're generally talking to me. YouTube, It could be either of us.
Yep.
So, those are the bits from us. And then I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. 7 wonderful outlets providing excellent content every week. So, in addition to Talk Star Wars, there is the Tumbling Saber with Kyle, the hardest working man in podcasting, Roussel. Generation X-Wing, the Nerd Room, the Rogue Squadron, the San Diego Sabres, and the Sandcrawler Cast with Dan and Mike. Sadly, we have had to say goodbye to Retro Inc. Because they have closed their doors. But we're sorry to see them go, and I'm sure that we will watch the careers of the respective hosts with great interest. You can find a direct link to the Facebook page, because the website has now been decommissioned because it wasn't really doing much. At StarWarsCommonwealth.com will take you directly to the Facebook page, and you can like the Facebook page and get all the updates from the network about all the new episodes and get a link to all the different shows and so on. And that's on the web at StarWarsCommonwealth.com. And from there, you can take your first steps into a larger world. This has been Talk Star Wars episode 199 as we edge ever closer to the big 200. We will see you again next time for episode 200. Until then, be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. I keep having to say this every week, and some people still aren't getting the message.
Big red.
Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and as always, may the Force be with you.